think the more times you come back to an old game, the more things you've discovered that you hadn't seen before, like a secret side quest or a hidden chest somewhere in a random cranny. For Odyssey, I've recently discovered that I never quite understood the combat system. Maybe because I was always spamming abilities or played it mostly in stealth, that I never actually engaged in combat. But here are a few things that I noticed. Odyssey combat is interesting because it almost feels like it was designed to make it seem more complex than it is. Like when you first start the game, you'll come across a lot of different weapons, like the sword, the dagger, staff, and all that. And they all have their own animations and stuff, but they don't really offer a unique playstyle. Depending on the difficulty you're playing, you either kill an enemy in a few hits, or 1,000 hits, until they kill you with 1 or 2 hits. That's pretty absurd to me, but what's even more silly is the difficulty system. Because whatever you play on, like it doesn't matter, an enemy on easy will take nearly as much time to kill as the one on nightmare. The only thing that would make a difference is the level scaling that keeps the levels of your enemies either above or below you. And even then it's still insignificant unless you want to play in assassin mode, but I'll go into that later. So there are 3 defined roles you can play in Odyssey. You can play as a hunter, an assassin, or a warrior, and you need to wear the gear corresponding to the playstyle you want. Hunter and assassin are self-explanatory, but the warrior build is a bit strange. You rely on melee attacks, so it's supposed to be more tanky than other builds, but it's not. You take the same amount of damage, and you'll actually deal less damage as well. Another thing is that warrior damage isn't the same as warrior abilities. So if an armor gives warrior abilities bonus, it doesn't add to your melee attacks. This is a huge downside compared to an assassin build because the critical assassination lets you do double damage when you assassinate an enemy, and it's considered an ability, so you get double the benefit of any gear. Same with Hunter. So if you want to play as a true Spartan and just conquer everything with only your sword, you're in for a painful experience. It's especially challenging in Conquest where you kind of have to use abilities. Otherwise you get overpowered fairly quickly. Unless you want to dodge and roll every half second, and nobody wants to do that. And fighting a mercenary who's higher level than you is going to feel like fighting an Elden Ring boss. Because there's just no way you can hack and slash them to death. I mean, it's possible, just maybe not for scrubs like you and me. At this point you realize the game forces you into using abilities, but the problem with abilities is they sort of, eliminate the need for combat at all. I don't think there's much combat involved when you just blast them with divine powers. Or turn into Thanos and kill everything in one hit while being invincible. And your overpower attacks pretty much always guarantee a kill. So basically, if you want to play warrior, you gotta use abilities. And when you do that, you're pretty much untouchable. So I usually just put on all the engravings that double your damage at the cost of health and resistances. Because who needs them when you never get hit? Keep in mind that these examples don't really apply to those at level 99 with 500 mastery points and 6,000 hours into the game. I'm only talking about mid to late game experiences that I'm sure a lot of players are still getting into even today. So back to what I was saying earlier about guaranteed assassination. You can do that just like in Valhalla. All you need is this dagger here. You don't need to worry about any other damage bonuses, or you can even wear a warrior or hunter armor set if you like, because it won't matter. Once you put on the dagger, go to gameplay options and change the level scaling to either light or medium. I put in light just to make sure. You can't play in nightmare if you choose to do this. But again, difficulty doesn't really work in this game. You can probably play on easy and still get killed all the same. But anyway, once you have the dagger, you can pretty much play it like the old days where one stab is all you need to assassinate an enemy. This works against mercenaries as well. I recommend wearing hunter armor since you can't assassinate bosses like Medusa, so you'll still need your bow and arrow. So in conclusion, I guess my point is that, in a weird way, Odyssey does force you into stealth just like Mirage. Except in Mirage, you don't have any abilities, so every win feels like you've earned it. In Odyssey, the combat is just so unsatisfying to a point you don't ever want to get into confrontation. I guess for those that really like Mirage, you should give Odyssey another try, or try it if you haven't played it. For me, I feel much more of an assassin in this game than other AC games, with the exception of the AC2 trilogy and obviously Mirage. But yeah, that's about all I have. Thanks for watching.
I will see you later.